Charania, who broke this story, say about almost 2 hours ago now. Mm-hmm. Joins us right now, giving us a few minutes. And Shams, I'm sure it's been a busy couple of hours here. I just want to start with simply this, because as much as you cover the whole league and you have your pulse on it, did this, even for you, come as a surprise?
It was definitely a surprise around the league, but I wouldn't say I was necessarily totally caught off guard. It is something that I had in the back of my mind. I've been checking on over the last couple of days, especially since they were eliminated. There's a lot of chatter, even after games 1 and 2 against the Pacers, that there was a lot of unhappiness about how those first 2 games went and about Tom Thibodeau's coaching. But it definitely got real over the last 24, 48 hours when, I began to hear, and I said it on SportsCenter yesterday, that the Knicks were holding a lot of internal meetings about evaluation of their coaching staff. And whenever that takes place, that means that it is at least somewhat possible. And so I didn't rule it out, continue to check on it. Obviously, they made the decision today. I'm told Leon Rose informed Tom Thibodeau in person, face-to-face, that he was being let go, that he was out. And so it wasn't necessarily a surprise to me, but listen, I think the entire NBA is shocked, is stunned, just on its face, a coach that made the playoffs 4 or 5 years, a coach that won 50 games plus for back-to-back seasons for the first time in Knicks history since the 1990s. Made it to the first Eastern Conference Finals in 25 years. Had the most, success that this team has had in quite some time. And so when you factor all those things in, and then you think about in the 20 years prior to his arrival, they had only won 1 playoff series, and now you have, you win 3 playoff advances in a row. So I think just in totality, there's a lot there that makes you surprised, but it is something that I felt was possible.
Do you think they already know who they're going to hire to replace him?
I haven't gotten that feel. My sense is that over the next several days, the Knicks will start their coaching search process, and that's when Leon Rose, James Dolan, the rest of that front office are going to really get together. They made their decision today to move on from Tom Thibodeau. Of course, they have to know some idea of which candidates they look at. I'm sure they have an idea about which people they'll speak with. But I don't know quite yet exactly who that next coach is going to be.
What are you getting from other people? I'm sure, as you were the first to break this, Sham, so I'm sure you've heard from people the level of surprise from other executives and people around the league that you've spoken to.
It's stunned because of all the success that Tom Thibodeau brought them in his 5 seasons and the growth that this team had over 5 seasons. Then you compare it to the prior 20 years before he got there. But I will say that the sense I do get from all my conversations around the Knicks and around this decision was that they simply felt like they needed a new voice to maximize this roster. They felt like they had hit a ceiling with Tom Thibodeau as their head coach. They feel like the next head coach, whoever that ends up being, and for right or wrong, is in everyone else's eyes, but they believe that next head coach that they hire will be better suited than Tom Thibodeau to lead them to a championship. And so time will tell, but they feel like their window to win a championship is right now. They feel like their window to win a championship was this season, especially as you see Indiana make it to the finals, and they felt like they were 2 wins away from winning a championship. They were, or from getting to the championship. They were right there in the thick of it, and so they felt like they had hit a ceiling, and that's why they go and make this decision. But listen, around the league, this is definitely stunning for everyone I've spoken to.
Shams, this team made a lot of changes last offseason with a couple of massive trades to change what their starting lineup looks like. With a coaching move, is that like the only major move you can see them making in this offseason, or are there indications that there are still moves that they want to make to get to that championship level?
I'm not going to rule anything out after this, but I will say you look at the history of Leon Rose the last year and a half, the big trades he's made, like you said, OG Anunoby, Mikal Bridges, Karl-Anthony Towns. They've made all these acquisitions in the goals of trying to win a championship, and I think they felt like they had positioned themselves. Usually when you make a coaching change under these circumstances, you feel like the coach is the problem, and you want to do what you can to maximize the team as is with that iteration. We saw it happen with the Cavs. They let go of J.D. Bickerstaff, who who then goes to Detroit. He does a great job in Detroit, but they bring in Kenny Atkinson, and they feel like Kenny Atkinson is able to take the same team with a couple of minor changes to go to another level. And they did for the regular season, had some injuries in the playoffs. So the Knicks could go that route as well. I think there will be activity from the Knicks regardless. If it's not going to be a landmark player, I think they're going to make changes on the bench. I think you look at Landry Shamet as a guy that played really well to finish in the playoffs, but what does the guard depth look like? What other wing depth do you have? What other center depth do you have? So I don't think they're just going to stand with this current roster as is. I think there will be some level of movement.
Sean, thank you, man. Yeah, I know this is a big day for you. We appreciate you carving out some time.
Thank you, guys.
Appreciate you, man.
You know what's interesting about the one thing Sean just said, though, that does stand out is, they felt as if there's more they could get out of this roster. Like, I see that exactly the opposite. I don't think they could have gotten much more. This roster's really good. To me, they're just short of a championship run roster. They're still a play. I don't mean they're a superstar away from a championship, but they're one more little piece that they just didn't quite have.
I'll play along because I'll do the devil's advocate thing.
Okay.
Because I'm as much as I will defend Tibbs, I also can look at it from many different angles. Like, I'm not stubborn like that.
Okay.
And when you saw what DeLon Wright and Landry Shamet brought in the playoffs, you said it's hard not to say, well, that probably should have been a thing more than just late in the playoffs. That should have been a thing more often. Now, you could argue
what would that have done?
Matchups and things, being the Detroit series, they were a lot more physical. You needed more physical players, whatever it is. But the sense is that there should have been more with the rotation, and that was one of the questions. We provided you players, you didn't use them all. You got fixated on a certain amount of them, and that's it. And so there's a lot of arguments you can make to and from. But I keep going back to this because I've read you all the numbers, and I've given you all his resume. Sham said it too. The guy has done nothing but win here. And I would say that whoever is the next hire cannot have anything other than 50-plus wins and nothing short of a conference final.
Well,
like that, isn't that like that is setting such a high bar out of the gate? Because if the roster only has what he just said, the tweaks, right? Starting five is what it is. Add a couple of pieces on the bench, which they can do, and you upgrade the roster a little bit. Okay, they believe the championship window's now. You heard Sham say, and that means this year and moving forward. If that's all the case, then whoever takes this job has got to know that there is a very high bar.